I hope that you're having a great evening this evening. I was looking at my website stats earlier and I realized that the blog post that I wrote this past weekend, the one that's called How Do You Know If You're an INFJ? It's the third most viewed blog on my website right now. There were over 700 people who clicked on the link to take the test, and that's so far. It's only been up there for a few days. So, I thought that I would jump on here and tell you my story about how I found out that I was an INFJ. It's not super simple sometimes. I mean, some people they take the test and it gives them an answer and they're like, "Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is." For other people, it's kind of a process actually. And for me, it was definitely a process. So, I first took the test when I was in college, which was more years ago than I want to say. It's been a few. But I was really busy when I was in college, so I took the test and it came up INXJ, and the X means that it's kind of 50-50 on that letter. So it could have been either T or F. So I read a little bit about it and I thought, oh, that's cool. But I just kind of threw it in the box because I was busy with other things for college, and I didn't really think about it that much. And then a few years later, I was in a completely different point in my life. I had gotten a job, my dream job that I absolutely loved, but I had a boss who I didn't get along with very well, and I learned later that he was narcissistic. It was a very toxic environment for me to be in, and things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And a friend of mine actually suggested that I go and see her counselor. And it wasn't really something that I thought that I wanted to do, but after she had suggested it a couple of times and things just kept getting worse, I thought, well, okay, maybe I do need to go and talk to somebody. So I went to talk to her counselor and I was diagnosed with depression, which was so incredibly difficult. It was difficult to be in that place, but then it was even more difficult once I had a name for what I was going through. Um, I just felt completely awful. Everything about my life felt terrible after that point, at that point, and I started looking for answers. I just wanted to be able to fix the problem. I didn't want to feel terrible all the time. I had so many problems. I had no confidence and I didn't know how to get it. I felt like I was so much different than all of the people that I was around, than anybody that I knew. I just felt like nobody understood me. And I felt like I couldn't really communicate with people very well either. I had trouble making friends, and it seems like all of the people in my life were toxic. Like, I was just attracted to so many people who were just wrong for me. So, at that point, as I was searching, I was researching depression. I was researching, how do you get over this kind of stuff? How do you get past it? How do you deal with it if you can't get over it? And it led me to find the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator test again. So I took the test again and it came up INTJ this time. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. I started reading about INTJs and how they're kind of stoic and they don't have as many feelings because they use the thinking part of their brains more so than feelings. And I thought, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to be. I don't want people to know that I have feelings. So I can just ignore the fact that I have them, right? So it didn't actually turn out that way. But that's what I thought at the time. So once I started studying the test more, or studying the results and what my personality was, after a couple of years, I ended up sharing all of this with my niece, who was 13 at the time, and she absolutely fell in love with about learning about her personality type. She's an INTP, and she loves all of the things, learning about how to communicate with people and why people act the way that they do. And she was the person who kind of called me out. And there was one time where she was having some problems with her grandma. And I was trying to explain to her, okay, grandma's acting the way that she is because you hurt her feelings, and you need to do this so that you can resolve that issue that you have with her. And then you need to do this in the future so that this doesn't happen again. And so my niece kind of called me out. She's like, "You're always thinking about feelings." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has feelings, right?" And she's like, "I don't think that you're an INTJ. I think that you're an INFJ because everything with you is about feelings." And I was like, "Oh, I don't really want to be an INFJ," because I thought that if you had a feeling personality, that meant that you were emotional all the time and you had all of these feelings, then you would just be crying and all these sorts of things all the time. And so I didn't want that. I didn't want to be seen that way. But once I started actually researching more of what it was, then I realized that's not always the case. That INFJs can be stoic, but we still have big emotions. We still feel things incredibly deeply. It's just that we don't always show them sometimes. Sometimes they're locked deep inside and we don't want to share them with people because sometimes we don't even know how to sort out what we're feeling. Sometimes it takes a long time for us to sort out what we're feeling. So through the course of all of this studying that I did about my personality, I found so many different things. I figured out why I do things the way that I do, why I have trouble making friends, why I have trouble with confidence. And the biggest thing was I figured out why I'm so much different from everybody else. Why I feel different? It's because I actually am different. They don't understand me because my personality is so different from theirs, and they don't have that same drive to understand other people the way that INFJs do. So I also learned how to communicate with other people because I learned about their personalities too. And so that helps me to communicate with them more effectively. I learned how to make friends and how to be a better friend, which it takes a lot more effort from me because being an introvert, I want to stay at home all the time. I'm constantly wanting to go home. But sometimes you have to get out more. You have to meet people where they are, right? So I learned as well that as an INFJ, we sometimes attract toxic people, but I learned strategies on how to deal with that and how to make sure that I'm setting boundaries around myself so that those people aren't taking over my life the way that they did before. And like I said, the most important thing that I learned was self-care. I learned how to take care of myself first. Because even though my natural inclination is to take care of all of the people around me first, if I'm not taking care of myself, I don't have anything to give. There comes a point where you're just so burned out that there's nothing left. And you shut down for a while. But it shouldn't be that way. You should be taking care of yourself consistently. It should be something that's in your routine so that you're always doing it and you never get to that point where you're burned out. I learned more about stepping out on my own, about really owning my personality and being proud of who I am instead of embarrassed by the fact that I'm introverted, that I'm different than everybody else. It's not something that I apologize for anymore. It's something that I want to share with other people. I want them to know that I'm different and that I like it. And that it's okay if they're different too. I find myself educating so many people on personality types. And it's just such a fun thing to share with people because it helps everybody. So I wanted to make sure to encourage you to take the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator Test if you haven't taken it yet. Please go over and take it, even if you're not INFJ. Take the time to take it because you have no idea what you could learn from it. You could take it on the website that's called 16 Personalities. So it's 16personalities.com. And I wanted to give you a couple of tips that will help you to make sure that you're not mistyped like I was. So make sure that when you take the test, that you take your time answering the questions, that you really think about some of the questions. It doesn't take too long. It only takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes. But just take some time and think about your answers. Also, make sure that you're honest. Make sure that you answer the questions how you actually handle the situations that the questions are about. Not how you want to be, but how you actually do. And so then there's one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about. I created this course that I've been talking about. It's called the INFJ Woman Self-Development course. And I created it so that I could help other INFJs who are in the same situation that I was. INFJs who are looking for answers, who need help with confidence and communication, who need help because they're feeling different, because they can't make friends, because they're in a toxic relationship with family or friends or a boyfriend or girlfriend. If this sounds like you, I would love to be able to help you, to teach you all of the things that I learned about gaining confidence, about learning better communication, about really owning who you are and not being feeling like you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, but really owning who you are and really coming into your own. I want to see you guys do things like getting that new job that you really want, starting your own business. Maybe it's you want to move to a different place, a different part of the country, or a different country. Whatever your dream is, I really want to see you follow your dream. And most of all, I want to see you take care of yourself, to put yourself at least on the same level as those other people in your life that I know that you're taking care of just like I do. So please go and check it out. The course is called the INFJ Woman Self-Development course, and you can find it at infjwoman.com, and also I'll put the link for it in the video description. If you have any questions, please email them to me. You can email me at skuhn@infjwoman.com, or you can send me a direct message too. I always answer all of my direct messages.